Let's get into this real quick. Secret Invasion.
Oh my God.
How bad do we think this is going to do? First of all, Samuel Jackson went and put his foot in his mouth yesterday, or at least the word came out yesterday. I don't know when he actually said it. But yeah, let's just say he came out swinging hard at the right. And he basically pissed off half of it. Well, let's be real. At this point, you might as well say fuck half the world if you're going to do something like that.
Pretty much. Yeah.
And he also went out after fans. I mean, it didn't matter if you were on either side. I mean, you start, and my video was a little softer than saying, he went, full blown anti-Trump, which, his TDS is showing, but that's not it, man. He attacked the fans. You don't do that. You're opening up a show. You attack the fans. You do it on somebody else's behalf out of the blue for no flipping reason. But yeah, this article, interesting. This show, according to people who've seen the first couple of episodes, super sucks.
And was heavily rewritten.
It's super nothing. I wouldn't say it sucks.
Script is right. They rewrote the hell out of it because I saw Robert Meyer Burnett going off about it. He said he had read the scripts and he's like, they changed this and they went and truncated all this stuff in the first few minutes of the show.
It's just a lot of exposition. And I've seen worse. I didn't cringe at it. I went, this is just boring. I don't care. But it was consistent.
Yeah. I was going to watch it until this shit.
The part that bothered me the most, and spoiler alert, the constant reference to how Fury, you were so different before the snap. Oh, Fury, you were way better before the snap. Oh, if you're not the same Fury post the snap. I went, okay.
So basically, they gave him the Jake Skywalker treatment.
Not as bad. I mean, he's somewhat running around being heroic.
Not as bad. Whoa, that's a ringing endorsement there.
But it's like, you know what? The worst thing that happened to the MCU was the snap. They just need to go. That's the end of Galactus. That's the series of comic books. Fantastic Four move on to the next bad guy. It's like, just end it. Oh, I don't need to hear more Thanos references. It's crippling them.
I disagree with that. I don't think that the Infinity Saga and the Thanos snap in itself ruined everything. It's how they chose to address it and what they did afterwards.
Well, I can't.
That is what really screwed them over. You could perfectly well have that, have the 5-year gap, move on, everything like that. But then the problem isn't that. It's easy to blame that, but the problem is the directionless direction they went afterwards and how they tried to top it. That's where they really screwed themselves over. It wasn't the snap, it was the aftermath.
Sure, I agree with that. I can see that.
Yeah. Because I will say that story-wise, what they've done up until Endgame has been fantastic, all of it. I don't like Endgame, but my issue with Endgame is just that. It's how it sets up what is to come in Phase 4, how it sets up the multiverse, how it sets up Falcon and the Winter Soldier, how it sets up all of the disasters that came later. But if it had set up different things, if it had set up, okay, now Tony Stark is dead, now the cosmic threat is defeated, there ain't nothing really horrible looming over the horizon anymore, signaling now we're just going to scale it back for a phase. Now we are going to just follow the street adventures of the heroes with the regular scales where their life is in the balance, which is plenty relatable enough, without having to try to top it, which they did in the Loki series. Then it would have been perfectly fine. So it's what they did after the snap that's the problem.
Well, the street level stuff I agree with, but I would have had no problem recasting Captain America and Iron Man and just enjoying life the way comic books presented them.
Yeah, and like you could have, but again, that's another path not taken.
Sure,
and it's a path that may have been better than what they chose. So that's just my point. They chose to go the wrong direction afterwards. But speaking of direction afterwards, we have someone in the wings who can help us with more of the Disney discussion here, because there's more going on in the world of Disney now than Secret Invasion, which is of course bound to be the latest flop on Disney Plus, what with Samuel L. Jackson already having pissed off half of the worldwide audience. This is correct. Helping us to take apart everything else that happens at Disney is WDW Pro. Welcome.
Well, I'm coming in cold, but I'm happy to be here. I have not been privy to the prior discussion you all have had. However, let me say, when it comes to this Secret Invasion situation, I just wonder, and I don't think this is true clearly, but I just wonder, is Samuel L. Jackson seeking to destroy the comeback efforts of Brie Larson? I mean, how could you possibly do more damage than what he has already done? Not only has he harmed the chances that people will tune in for this show that starts off slow and does not build any great interest, but also he has, I would think, presented a huge issue for Brie Larson, for her handlers, for her marketing team, for Disney as they get ready to go into the Marvels. This is now a much more difficult show to market, advertise, etc., because of the statements he's made.
Yeah.
When you come out at this point in time with what we're seeing with these other companies, and you essentially malign half of North America as being akin to racist, horrible rednecks who would oppress a young Samuel L. Jackson, when that is what he equates half of North America to, well, perhaps that's not accurate in terms of the society in which we live. And also, perhaps it's not the greatest gift to give unto Bob Iger, the beleaguered Bob Iger at this time, as they try to turn this company around. It is, wow, what a thing to do to Brie Larson. I haven't felt sorry for Brie Larson until today. I kind of feel sorry for her.
Yeah. This is meant to be in support of Brie Larson, where he basically came out and he told the world that, the election of the Orange Man bad broke her brain.
Talk about strong women characters, strong women actors. This is
this is indicative of Hollywood. This just shows you exactly what they're all like. They are exactly like these fuckers that we saw on the day of the election, freaking the fuck out, acting like it's the end of the world just because they didn't get their fucking way, like babies.
The other interesting thing about this,
kind of like Snyder hose.
The interesting thing, and this gets a little bit into the weeds.
Sorry.
But Samuel L. Jackson did not grow up in the Deep South. I mean, he did not grow up somewhere that was filled with antipathy for him. He grew up in, I believe, East Tennessee. And that was actually a location where, in the Civil War, it was Union territory. It's not aligned with I don't want to malign anybody in South Carolina, but it's not what you would consider the slave belt at all. And so the idea that he came out of somewhere that was highly oppressive and that half the country is still just like that oppression that he faced, it doesn't ring true to me. I'm not here to discredit his experiences, but I am here to say that if you think that half the country is that they're accurately reflected as rednecks who would oppress minorities, then you live in a much more dire and dystopian world than I think we should live in. I don't think that's reflective of reality at this point in history.
So we want to welcome back Lucifer. Hopefully the sound issues are gone.
Fingers crossed, they're gone.
Fingers crossed. Culture, you were about to say, sorry.
No, I mean, and again, I mean, both Pro and I have covered like this. I'm going to say this. He did a very huge disservice, as many here on this panel will obviously mention, for Brie Larson, but it's huge for Disney. But I have to ask the question, why? Because there was nobody attacking him, nobody attacking Brie. What was his motivation to roll down this road? I mean, he
was prompted by a journalist looking for a headline.
Perhaps.
Not only that, Culture, but and I know this answer, but that's because these folks, and this is why I did the crack at the Snyder Bros,
Right.
And these folks think that majority of the world thinks the way they do. They still don't believe Trump won the election. Right. They go on and on about what he says and does after that fact, but they still to this day call him an illegitimate president and all that shit. They cannot fathom. It does not make sense in their brain that more people than them think differently than them. That's why they go to this extreme and say that, 200,000 people are fucking racists, or 1 billion people are racists or sexists, because they, in their brain, they can't fathom the rest of the world not thinking that way. They think this is brownie points.
But it's not. I mean, it's evidential. I mean, if they look at the evidence, right, they now understand, or they should, that every time they attack the fans, they harm a project's performance, whether it be a television show, whether it's a film, whether it's an overall company. I mean, this has been demonstrated. The idea that all publicity is good publicity, right? That's out the window now. Because you're watching in real time the effects of some of these political leanings leaking out into the public, and the public roundly rejecting them. I mean, I don't have to point out the fact, and of course, I was rather inspired by Andre's coverage of Bud Light and the ESG stuff. But all of that stuff is pushing people away. You're watching people abandon baseball teams, baseball games. You're watching them abandon Talladega, which is NASCAR. Nobody showed up to that event. You're starting to see people just leave this stuff in droves and calling it out for what it is. And I, like I said, I mean, wouldn't it be wiser to have step aside with these people and suggest that maybe, just maybe, don't attack the people who are actually supposed to be watching this stuff? Wouldn't you, if you have this wonderful message to preach to everybody, don't push them away before you get a chance to, sermonize.
We've made this argument. We've made this argument before, and I've done several videos on it, as you probably know. Yeah. The thing is, I've spent time with these people. We're the enemy. At no time can they make that leap of logic, because first of all, they're not entrepreneurs. They're working for someone else. I did a conference where I was invited as an entrepreneur, a business owner, to a group of graduating MBAs. And the first thing out of my mouth was, if you've never made payroll, you don't know shit. Which just, the audience went silent. The teachers were completely wide-mouthed. But by the end of my presentation, I was cheered by the kids who all wanted to talk to me. They surrounded me after my presentation, and the person who invited me said, "You're never going to come back here again."
I love this story.
So the thing is, these people live in an unreal world. They don't care that they're holding the can of gasoline and they've torched their own house as they're standing in it. They really, this is their religion. I hate to use that word. It's not.
I think it's appropriate this time, Paul. I really do. I think we've reached that point.
Well,
where I don't know how you could describe it otherwise.
It's an institution. That's what it is.
Yeah. It's a cult is my favorite way to call it. But yeah.
Yes. Well, I mean, all three of those are relatively indistinguishable depending on your point of view. So
also, can I just say that as Paul was talking, the Ghostbusters quote by Ray was playing in my head. You've never been out of college. You don't know what it's like out there. I've worked in the private sector. They expect results.
Yeah.
God, that's a great line, isn't it? Even today.
I love it. I love that movie so much.
Lucifer wanted to say something.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, I'm with culture in the fact, like, when culture says, like, it's a cult, I see it as it's a cult without a leader. And that's why it looks so batshit crazy. Because at least with Jonestown, and this is going to sound so fucking horrible, but I just don't care. At least with Jonestown, they had a crazy ass leader who went, this is the line that we walk in. Okay, we don't go outside of it. This is what we follow. Okay, but there's no one doing that. So they're all still struggling around going, well, what the fuck are the rules? Where are the parameters? Where are the goalposts? And unfortunately, to me at least, This is what happens when politics becomes a fad and a fad becomes fatal.
Well, you could not have foreseen, I don't think, in the 90s where we are today because of the bedfellows that have been created by this religious movement that is wokeism, right? That comes out of this neo-Marxist postmodernism intersectionality, however you want to describe this, that's most accurate. But the funny thing to me is, for the strange bedfellows, I think there are people inside the faith traditions, right? Christianity, Judaism, Islam, etc., who have now more in common and are on the same side as the atheists and the agnostics, because we are in a what I call a logos and anti-logos society now. We're in a logic versus anti-logic. And whatever you think objective truth might be, whether it is born out completely from the laws of the universe or something that's transcendent and beyond, whatever your source of the divine might be, if you believe in truth, you're not on the same side as these people who don't believe that truth is objective. They don't believe that truth is absolute. They believe that power is what matters, and they will derive it from however they can. And that means that when you get people saying half the country are a bunch of redneck oppressive rubes, and you will still watch my content no matter what I say, that comes from a place where you're no longer paying attention to reality. You are formulating a narrative that suits your purposes.
It's never-ending search for the next story. And so I fought for gay rights. I thought we were done when I helped elect the first gay counselor in Toronto, Mr. Hislop. When we got gay marriage, and then I went to the first gay pride parades, and I was supporting that. And then at some point, the machinery that helped bring that to fruition became the goal after the goals were reached. That's where we are now, where there's a group of people for whom the machinery has to stay alive because that's where they make their money. They didn't just.
Or if I may put it another way, the machinery was co-opted and used for another cause altogether, a cause that the original first generation could not disagree with more.
Correct. And that's what's happening is we've reached goals. Yes. And the machinery must be maintained by the co-opted people. And what they do is they're now going after tinier and tinier windmills to tilt at. And it's getting stupider and stupider. I mean, for God's sakes, defending Leah Thomas, the 6'2" swimmer, against, 5'1" female swimmers. It's, as you said, WD, it's illogical beyond every stretch of the
Well, let's be careful with what we say here, because we are on YouTube, and YouTube has declared that the individual to which you referred is stunning and brave, and if any woman disagrees, then they can suck her dick, basically. So,
Excuse me, ma'am. No porn at the bar.
Oh, it's okay. I'm transgender.
Oh, I had no idea. Do whatever you want all the time.
You've used the protective talisman cartoon.
That's right. You've put us back in the good graces of the algorithm. We're okay.
Anyway. I had to get out of here somehow. Culture, you had your hand up.
Exactly. So.
Oh no, I was just saying, yeah, you played the proper clip there, Tom. Well done.
That's right. So that's where we are now, is that it's the machinery and the people who are defending their own livelihood that is now driving things to insanity.
This clip was taken from Midnight's Edge in the Morning, which streams live every Monday, Wednesday and Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific Time on the Midnight's Edge main channel. There, you can send in your live questions and comments before clips and full stream replays are uploaded to Midnight's Edge live archives. We are also on Twitter, Rumble, Odyssey and Facebook, so smash that like, help share, subscribe and join us.